So yes, Chairman, if you just press escape on your keyboard, it should bring your agenda back up on your screen where you can see it. But you have quorum and you can start as soon as you're ready.
We have a quorum.
Mickey, I'm gonna mute myself till you need me.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Do I call the meeting to order first or read these comments first? How do you want it?
Read the comments first and then call the meeting to order.
Okay. I want to welcome everyone. It's time we're going to call the June 16th meeting of the Riverfront Authority. If I need to read a few things here. If we are disconnected at any time during today's meeting, we will try to restore the video connection within 15 minutes. If we cannot do so, the meeting will be adjourned and we will reconvene at the next regular OCRRA meeting scheduled for 1 o'clock on July 21st, 2020 by video conference. For trustees, staff, and scheduled presenters, please state your name and the organization you represent before addressing the group. For citizens who called in to speak on any agenda item, please stay muted until you are recognized by the chairman, then press *6 and limit your comments to 3 minutes. Are there any questions? And I will call the meeting to order. First item is items from the chairman, and I don't have anything. Item 3 is the meeting minutes from the February 18th meeting. Do we have any questions or comments?
No.
Okay. I need somebody to make a motion.
Kathy Williams makes a motion.
Okay, Ms. Williams, if you'll click move the item box on your agenda screen.
Okay.
Okay, I've got Kathy moved it, seconded by Gloria. Please vote. Okay. Brian, I haven't got a vote from you yet. Brian, I need a vote from you.
I'm sorry, I can't see where the vote is on my screen. I see this. I'm in favor of it, but I could not see it. Sorry.
Okay, trustee, will you press escape on your keyboard and see if you can then see your voting buttons?
Okay, yes, thank you.
Okay, and that item passed. Item 4 is consent docket. We have a oil and gas revenue report and an Oklahoma River corridor events update. Do we have any questions on either one of those? Very good. I need a motion to on the consent docket. Mr. Dudman's moved it. Kathy Williams has seconded. Please vote. And that item has passed. And we'll move on to item 5, the primary agenda items. Item A is to receive an Oklahoma River, where am I at? Oklahoma River Maintenance Projects update. Jim, are you going to give that?
Yes. Good afternoon, Chairman and trustees. On our dredging project, item 1, they're continuing removing material from the basins. Looks like we're going to get about 30,000 cubic yards out of the current area they're working in. Right now, we're anticipated we'll finish up all dredging operations in the river about the end of June, and we'll restore the river to its normal pool level. On the SCADA system, we've been upgrading some of the SCADA sensors that have been non-functioning. We've replaced a number of those, and we're also looking at replacing some of the radios for the monitoring wells along the river. We've done a few other projects along the river. We replaced all the lighting in the dam control houses, and we're in the process of getting proposals to replace the doors on the control houses. While the doors have developed rust or rusted through at the bottom of the door. So we're looking at replacing those. A little more exciting news: on June 5th, the hydraulic cylinder on Crest Gate 5 at the May Dam failed. We pulled it off the SCADA system and strutted the gate to maintain the pool elevation. And we're in the process of getting quotes to get a crane in there. We currently have replacement cylinders for all the gates at that dam. So our intent is we're going to go in there, since we have this one cylinder that failed, and we have to get a crane in there anyway, we're going to go ahead and replace all those cylinders. We'll send those off and have them rebuilt. And once they've been rebuilt, then we'll be ready to do the Western Dam. As far as drainage division maintenance, between January and February, Public Works crews removed 75 tons of debris from the river. A lot of those were several large trees that came downstream from early rains. The only other update I have is the Public Works Department has hired a new river projects manager. His name is Jess Shumway. He was the river projects manager previously from 2010 to 2013 before he left the city. But he's come back, and I'm sure his experience is going to be a great benefit to us. That's all I have on my report. Is there any questions?
Jim, I know some time ago, it seems like we got to the point where we had 3 spare, what am I trying to say? What are you replacing the
cylinder, hydraulic cylinder?
We had 3 spare cylinders built and ready for this kind of occasion, and to do normal, where we ever so often we would do those dams. Was the May Avenue Dam the one that was due for coming up for a recycle on those?
Well, all of them were due. We had hoped to do one of them last year, and that was May. Looks like this year we're going to try to do May and Western. Okay. And originally we did have 3 extra cylinders, but since that time we've increased that to where we have 6.
Okay.
We have a full complement to go ahead and able to replace those 2.
Okay.
Now, Eastern Dam has a different type of cylinder, and that is on our schedule to replace those also, but we don't have any spares on the Eastern.
Okay. All right. Very good. Any other questions for Jim on the report? I need a motion to receive that report. Paul has moved it and Brian has seconded it. Would take your vote, please. And that item passed. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
Item B is to receive the quarterly Oklahoma River Cruisers update.
Yes, thank you, Chief Mars and trustees. This is Jeannie Smith, River Transit Manager with Public Transportation and Parking. Construction projects at Stockyards and Meridian are progressing, as is the refurbishment of the Devon Discovery. Details are in your packet. As you know, ferry service has been delayed through June for some much needed dredging of the river. Staff is grateful to Public Works for their continual efforts to keep the river navigable. Dam maintenance and debris removal are critical to the safe operation of the service. The proposed budget for public transportation and parking suspends operations for FY21 in order to reduce the city's general fund contribution. Plans are to reopen in FY22 with improvements to the facilities utilizing federal grants. We have a long list of projects that will enhance the service and improve safety. Finally, I'd like to thank the board for their support. It goes back to October 31st, 2007, when we launched the Discovery. It has been my pleasure to learn from you and to report our activities. Without your support and influence, it would not have been as rewarding as it has been. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Jeannie. Any questions for Jeannie? Okay, I need a motion to receive that report. Looks like Mr. Dudman moved it. Mrs. Williams has seconded it. Vote, please. And that item is passed. Thank you, Jeannie. Item C is to receive an update on PUD 1759, expansion of the Waste Connections landfill, 7600 Southeast 15th. I bet that's why Mr. Box is here.
Yes, sir. And I may let Mrs. Williams bow out and abstain or whatever she needs to do.
I will abstain. Actually, I'm going to leave the room.
So Ms. Williams, if you will, when it comes time to do the motion and vote, if you'll just turn off your camera and mute your mic, that will count as an absence, and just don't push the buttons.
Okay.
So, Mr. Chair, we can, I don't know if staff has an introduction or I can just jump right into it. It's your pleasure.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So my client was able to acquire some additional parcels up against their, current operation off of Rockwell. And so those additional parcels were not zoned pursuant to the PUD that controlled the landfill. And so it required us to come in and rezone it. And so we have done so. The height will remain the same, but we were able to acquire approximately 60 additional acres. On this project, unlike other projects, we were able to move through the process with a silence from the airport. That's because my client took great lengths to meet with Mr. Kranenberg at the airport and receive all FAA approvals prior to filing the application. So once we filed our PUD application, we already had all the necessary approvals from the FAA, and therefore the airport was in a position to not submit a letter of objection. So it worked fairly smoothly through the process. Planning Commission recommended approval on the basis of planning staff's recommendation for approval. And then the City Council likewise approved the PUD on, I think May 26th was the date. So again, this is the parcels that we have acquired is approximately 60 additional acres. For those of you that recall, there was some walking trails and a stream that goes through it. All of those agreements are still in place, which was very important to Councilman McAtee. And so it's, I think the city and the river has a wonderful neighbor in this operator, and they're doing a bunch of good things on this facility to ensure that the city will still have adequate space for waste in the near future. We'd be happy to answer any questions you have. My client, Rachel Hannigan, is also on the call as well if there are specific operational questions as it relates to the landfill.
Okay, I don't, we'll see if anybody has any questions. The additional land brought in with this PUD is attached to the, as I understand it by the map here, to the southern, kind of the southern boundary, and it doesn't put any new land under the landfill closer to the river. So
that's correct.
Yeah. Does anybody have any questions?
Mr. Chairman, sorry to interrupt, but I just realized we can't have Kathy as absent for this vote because we lose quorum, so she'll have to abstain.
Okay. Kathy, did you hear that?
Yes, I did hear that. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. No further questions. I'll call for the motion. Gloria has moved it. Brian has seconded it. If you vote, please. And that item is passed. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Item D is an update from the River Sport Foundation on operational and programming issues related to COVID-19. We have somebody from the foundation on?
Yeah, this is Mike Knopp here.
Hey, Mike.
With the River Sport Foundation. Hello, everyone. Do you have the presentation on the screen, David, or I can just walk through it? I think appropriately. There we go. Okay. I'll let you control it. Well, I think first of all, appropriately, I'm coming to you from the river. So I thought you might take a look outside. And if you can see, we've got a lot of activity on the water with our summer camps in motion. And that's been going very well. And, you know, we certainly have had an impact related to COVID-19 as everyone else has. And I thought I would use this opportunity to kind of share with you kind of what our current status is, what our protocols are, and then certainly other operational issues that are in place. So go ahead and let's go to the next slide. So since this began, you know, the pandemic really hit with the shutdown right as spring break was kicking off. And so we made the call right away to obviously suspend all of our operations. And that was going to be our opening weekend, was spring break. And so we canceled that, of course, and our camps and events that were also scheduled for that time. And through that, as that began a process where we began a weekly conference with our steering committee of our board directors to kind of manage the best we could moving through the COVID situation, again, just like everyone else, and how it would impact our kind of very, very unique seasonal operation. So we, of course, expended, you know, we tried to defer as many expenses as possible. We already had reduced our full-time staff by about 25% over 2019 totals, and we cut back heavily on our seasonal and hourly labor during that period of time. We also did receive, we applied for and received the PPP that helped us out during that shutdown period, because as you all know, that it's very important that the earned revenue that comes in between the months of really late March through September is really critical to the operation and sustaining the operation. We were really intrigued, you know, enthusiastic going in the season as all the trends were showing this was going to be the best year ever with our sales to date and all of the events that we had planned. The major events through July of 2020, and really we're kind of assessing things as we go, but have been canceled. Of course, Olympic trials was a big one. And that has been postponed until 2021 with the postponement of the Tokyo Olympics. You know, I would say though, we're pleased to report that while it's been postponed, we are going to have the trials in 2021 here on the Whitewater, in the Whitewater Center, but now also on the river. So we've actually added Olympic trials as a result of this, and not only for the United States, but also for Canada. So it's a kind of a unique opportunity for Oklahoma City. We also had the Super Cup event that was planned for August, which was going to be our first major internationally televised event. We were very excited about that. That was going to be bringing in the Olympic medalists from Tokyo to Oklahoma City for a live under the lights telecast to 8 million people around the world. And that obviously has been postponed because it's really tied to the Olympics. So they have put that on the calendar for 2021. So I believe that will happen as long as an Olympics does happen. So that's been pushed off. Our social media has been really leveraged during this period of time. We've got over 100,000 followers. We've engaged people throughout this process. In fact, one example of many things that we did a cardboard boat building competition just to and that's a new curriculum we have actually that will go into schools. We encourage families to do that at home to keep them busy, and there's a STEM component to it, and had a great response. In fact, now we are on a week from this Saturday, we're going to have the cardboard boat race in the Whitewater Center in the lower pool. So if you've built, it's not too late. If you have built a cardboard boat, you can come and race it in a socially distant way here in a couple of weeks. So that's exciting. We did a virtual run series called Running on Water, a 5 and 10K virtual race. Again, and try to encourage our coaches, our Olympic hopefuls to continue to inspire people to just stay active. And then virtual practice sessions have been going on with all of our programs. I would emphasize our season passes have been interesting. Well, the delay in opening, we did take a serious hit in our revenue, which you'll see here in a minute. It's really picking up, and our season pass sales now are actually exceeding last year because I think it's indicative of people wanting to get outside. And we have created a promotion that allows the season passes are actually 30% off now. And if you buy a pass now, it's good through 2021. So it's really quite a deal. And the reason for that is people, the operations have been, if you could go to the next slide, have been affected that we're not at full capacity. So we're giving people a full extra season for their pass. So we're currently actually, these were prepared about a month ago, so I can update this. Our phase 1 was introducing kayaking and stand-up paddleboarding, which commenced. We have a full spectrum of procedures from, obviously social, kayaking happens to be one of the best socially distant activities you can do. You're separated from people, and so it's been worked well. We have a sanitation process every time a kayak or a stand-up paddleboard and PFDs and paddles go out. They're sanitized and put aside for a period of time. And so, staff, we really encourage, we try to emphasize that we have a very detailed protocol in place and doing the best we can with that. Similarly, family rafting and tubing, that actually opened Memorial Day weekend. We have a much more limited capacity than we did before because we're controlling the number of people that come into the venue. We also don't have our international raft guides. So, just as a result of that, we have some limitation on the number of rafters, which we need to control anyway. But still, we're seeing a steady increase in people coming in the venue. One thing that I would emphasize that we started that I think has been very interesting is we've tried to make up for the reduced amount of throughput on the rafting by expanding our tubing. So now tubing occurs every day at 2 o'clock and goes on all the way to close. People are loving that, and they're coming out and they're spending the whole day rafting and tubing. And, it's hot and people are, really responding well. We're actually going to be expanding the length of the tubing channel. We've been able to, that's on our recreational channel of the Whitewater Center. So while we might run the pumps at a higher degree, more pumps through there until 2 o'clock, we bring it down at 2 o'clock, and that has been well received. So let's go ahead to the next one. And in regard to the family rafting too, we encourage people, they raft together as a family or as a group that they come with. And unless they want to raft with strangers. And we go through a screening process as they come into the venue. And then you can see the layout for how we've emphasized social distancing. We've changed the way that we're doing rafting orientations. And there's a little graph on the left that just indicates that actually there is an uptick in people wanting to be outside and engaged in outdoor recreation. You know, one example would be I started this whole operation 20 years ago at Lake Overholser. I have never seen it as crowded as I see it today. So there is a lot of people getting on the water and outside, and we're really trying to provide you know, a medium and a mechanism to do that. We actually have more kayaks coming in later this week to try to keep up with the demand. So let's go ahead to the next slide. So the Surf OKC, the flow rider, it's been much, construction has advanced quite a bit beyond since this picture. The actual forms are in, the walls are in, the system is actually being installed as we speak. And we are very hopeful that it will be open at the end of July in conjunction with our Whitewater Festival, which we are still planning on having. It'd be the last day of July, the 31st through August 1st. Now their construction timeline may be delayed somewhat into August, where they think there's a possibility they can get it done. Obviously, you want to open an attraction like this up in the summer, and you know, we had hoped it would have been open actually, you know, at the beginning of summer, but obviously the pandemic did affect the timeline for that project. So let's go ahead and move on. And so we're really not in our full operations mode. We have opened the Sky Trail as well, though, and we're following manufacturers' recommendations with regard to how we do that in a safe way. Certain things are not open, like climbing walls. The zip lines are not open. There's just we're just not at a point where we feel comfortable with that, or we think we should do that yet. The slides are open, so we're not at full operations. We're somewhere in between, and we're going to continue to monitor the situation before we can get to kind of a more regular full operation capacity. Camps and Olympic training, as you saw, we have a lot of summer camps going on, both our adventure camps and our athletic, our rowing and kayak camps. We've actually added camps at Lake Overholser and also Lake Hefner, and they've been very well received and going well. We actually, as soon as the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee allows it, there will begin Olympic development camps here later this summer in the Whitewater Center in preparations for Tokyo. So let's move on. From a financial perspective, again, this is as of a little over a month ago, we were down about 74% on our adventures revenue. Contributed support has lagged about 17%, obviously, due to a lot of the challenges that are out there in the world, and some sponsors having to at least temporarily pull back a little bit this year. Total payroll costs are down 21% and expenses down 17%. I already mentioned we've been trying to mitigate that through the PPP and reduced labor costs. We also have started a new development campaign called One Family Helping. It's actually called the River Sport Connects Initiative, and specifically One Family Helping One Family, which is if you buy a season pass, we will match it and give it to somebody who is had financial hardship through the COVID-19 situation. And that is made possible by an ongoing growing list of supporters. And so that is something that is kicked off. We're also pleased to announce, if you can move on to the next slide, we have received some nice new grants, one being from the Oklahoma City Community Foundation that's specifically geared to support engaging youth on the northeast side of Oklahoma City. That would be in the form of getting those kids down to the river, transportation, food, taking care of them when they're here. And that's, I think, going to be a really nice addition to getting kids to a wonderful asset that's really in their backyard. So, and then similarly, Lopez Foods has signed on to sponsor the Surf OKC attraction, while also supporting engaging opportunities for the Hispanic community through a number of ways to come and participate in our programs as well. So, and that's all connected to our Thrive Outside initiative. We also just have a new grant that was offered by our board chairman, Ronnie Irani. His term just ended. Mike Ming is now the new chairman, but Ronnie made a very generous gift of $25,000 to again support creating new opportunities for the African American community, and that's something that we're really excited about and engaging the community over in the next couple of months. So let's move on to the next slide. This is a video, we won't play it now, that just kind of emphasizes what our River Sport Connects program is and how we feel like people need nature more than ever before, and being outside is, we feel like a great cure, a great way to recover from this COVID-19 pandemic, and the mental health aspects, the physical health aspects. And so we're really trying to emphasize that through all of our programs that we have available here at the river. Let's go ahead and really that's my update, and I'd open it up for any questions you might have.
Any questions for Mike?
Good report, Mike. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it looks like you're getting a lot of people out, which is good. I know you want as many as you can get, but it also indicates, I think, people are ready to get out and do some stuff. So
yeah, they certainly
are. Any other
are.
questions for Mike? Yeah. I need a motion to receive that update, please. Moved by Paul and seconded by Kathy. Please vote. Okay, and that has passed. Thank you, Mike. We appreciate it.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
On to item E is to receive the Oklahoma City Riverfront Redevelopment Authority schedule of cash receipts and disbursements for the period ended March 31st of 2020. Any questions on that? If not, I need a motion to receive. Brian moved it. Paul has seconded. Please vote. And that item is passed. Item F is to receive the Riverfront Authority's operating budget for fiscal year 2020-2021. Do we have any comments or questions on that? Very good. I'll need a motion then. It's moved by Paul, seconded by Brian. Please vote.
Trustee Williams, can we get you?
Kathy, we don't have your vote. And that item is passed. Item G is an amendment number 1 to the first renewal lease agreement between the Riverfront Authority, the City of Oklahoma City, and Samuel Owens for cattle grazing on property at 1420 South Portland. Mr. Owens has been using property down there behind the old police equine center for a number of years, and he's asked to expand that into a larger area, taking about another six plus acres on that, and with an equitable increase in the fees on that too. So, do we have any questions on it?
The only question that I have is the River Design Committee has to authorize the fence. And we've given him 30 days from the date of this agreement to get that accomplished. Can that be done in 30 days?
That I wouldn't know.
Ms. Williams, Dave Bursch with the River Trust. Yes, we've been working with Laura Griggs of the Riverfront Design Committee, and she was the one who actually suggested that 30 days would be sufficient because this item was also approved by council this morning. So this would be the final approval needed for the agreement. And then Mr. Owens can work with Laura to finalize the administrative approval for the fencing.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure he didn't run out of time. Okay,
Any other questions? I need a motion, please. Motion made by Paul, seconded by Kathy. Please vote. And that item is passed. Item H is a project agreement among the Oklahoma City Riverfront Authority, City of Oklahoma City, and the Oklahoma Department of Transportation for installation and maintenance of a generator and a propane tank to support intelligent transportation system signage on Interstate 40. It's going to be located on our property at 1550 West Interstate 40. Any questions on this?
Chairman, is it screened?
Oh, I'm sure they'll screen it because to keep the vandals away from the generator and the tank.
Okay.
Paul, this is Brian, and there's also some screening with some of the trees that we put in there, and they do have an allowance where they're going to reposition some extra trees, I think, in the plan from the river.
Thanks.
Okay. Any other questions? Any motion on the item? It was moved by Brian, seconded by Paul. Please vote. That item is passed. Item I is to recommend that the Oklahoma City Council approve a revocable permit with Ashley White doing business as Margarita Mamas for the Margarita and Taco Festival, August 15th, 2020, using Wiley Post Park Pavilion and Event Center. Any questions on this? I need a motion. Moved by Paul, seconded by Kathy. Please vote. And that item is passed. Item J is to recommend that the City of Oklahoma City grant 2 permanent easements to the Oklahoma City Water Utilities Trust for project SC 0950 sanitary sewer improvements within Manuel Prez Park, 21 Southeast 17. Any questions on this? Need a motion? It was moved by Gloria and seconded by Brian. Please vote. And that has passed. Moving on to item 6, which is our claims docket. Any questions on the claims docket? Need a motion, please? Made by Paul, seconded by Brian. Please vote. And that item passed. Item 7, additional items, comments by staff. We have the Park and Rec Director's report. Any questions on it? Or David, any other comments?
No, sir, we just asked that the report be received as submitted.
Okay, motion to receive the director's report. Made by Paul, seconded by Brian. Please vote. That has passed. Any comments from trustees? Okay, do we have any citizens that want to be heard? Anybody signed up?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, as David Burchkin, we did not have any citizens call in wishing to speak.
Okay. Very good. Well, I guess we need a motion to adjourn. do we? Could I just adjourn?
You can just adjourn it, Chairman.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. Once we got figured out, we seem to move along pretty well. I appreciate everybody's cooperation. Maybe we won't have to do this very much longer. Thank you. Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good week, everyone.
You too.